Okay, I believe that we are live. Uh, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. A few people are saying, Ultra, I don't get notified when you're going live. The reason you don't get notified when we're going live is because you don't hit that little notification bell next to the subscribe button. So if you want to subscribe and hit the notification bell, then you will get all notifications of when we are about to go live and go live. I don't know how long this show is going to be. It might be 20 minutes, Seriously, I haven't really got too much to say other than Dillian Whyte is a guard dog for Anthony Joshua. Dillian Whyte is a guard dog. Dillian Whyte is a pawn. Mike Coppinger, you can see it on the left-hand side of your screen. You can see it yourself. Sources to Mike Coppinger. Mike Coppinger is about as close to Eddie Hearn as it gets. The WBC, the WBC has delayed today's Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte purse bid to Friday. Both Whyte and Anthony Joshua were offered step-aside deals to allow Fury to fight Alexander Usyk this summer for undisputed heavyweight championship. They're trying to get Dillian the guard dog to step aside after making all this fucking hullabaloo, suing the WBC, arbitration this, arbitration that. If what Mike Coppinger is saying is correct, they are asking Dillian Whyte to step aside and step away from his WBC world title shot so that Fury can fight Usyk. And do you know the reason why they're asking Dillian Whyte to step aside if what Mike Coppinger said is correct? So they can feed him to Anthony Joshua in a rematch. You see? See, Matchroom's original plan. Let me tell you the play, all right? Let me tell you the play. Let me tell you the fucking play right now, all right? Very, very simple. The Matchroom play has always been to feed Dillian Whyte to Anthony Joshua. The original plan was get Dillian Whyte the WBC title either by forcing Fury to vacate or something like that. But the plan always was get Dillian Whyte some version of the WBC title so he can feed him to Anthony Joshua and call Anthony Joshua undisputed, right? That's always been the plan, to feed him to Anthony Joshua. Now, as you're going to see, Matchroom and Eddie Hearn are shitting themselves. And they're shitting themselves. The reason why they're shitting themselves is because they know that Anthony Joshua might not be ready for his rematch with Usyk because, again, the training situation is not 100% resolved. And even if the training situation was 100% resolved, Anthony Joshua still needs time to bed in with his new trainer. Look, if you don't believe me, this is Eddie Hearn. This is Eddie Hearn on the DAZN boxing show. All right? This is Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn on if Anthony Joshua will step aside. He won't want to do it. A lot of people who know boxing know if you're going to a new trainer, people will say it's a very smart move. Then on the other hand, it's, oh, you're ducking him. You can't win. And he also says this, look, Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua stepping aside. There is a smart play here somewhere, but AJ's not about the money. If the plan makes sense, work with a new trainer, maybe have a fight first, go into a much bigger fight. Yeah, I can see the sense in it. Matchroom and Eddie Hearn don't want Anthony Joshua to take this Usyk rematch because they can smell the gravy train coming to a halt, you see. They can sniff that gravy train coming to a halt. So let me tell you what plan A is, right? This is plan A. I don't think this will happen. I don't think Anthony Joshua will step aside. And we'll look at some of Tyson Fury's recent posts on Instagram. It looks like AJ may have already rejected the offer. You know my opinion, just to clarify. Anthony Joshua to me is not a coward. I would never call any man who steps in any sort of boxing ring a coward. right? Those words wouldn't come out of my mouth. So whether AJ takes the step aside or doesn't take the step aside, you won't come on here and hear me call AJ a coward. I would never fucking do that, right? But here's my point. My point is about priorities. Who's the priority here? Even as Dillian Whyte is the mandatory for Tyson Fury's WBC title, and there's a purse bid that's less than 48 hours away, which you would imagine that DAZN and Matchroom are going to win, right? Less than 48 hours away from a purse bid that you would imagine DAZN and Matchroom are going to win, Anthony Joshua is still the priority, and Dillian Whyte is being used as a pawn. That's why Dillian's been offered step-aside money. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny how things change, isn't it? Dillian just needs his shot. This is about justice for Dillian. He's been mandatory for 1,000 days. This is a disgrace. The way he's being treated is a disgrace. And in 48 hours before the purse bid, you turn around to Dillian Whyte and you offer him money not to fight. Not to fight for the WBC title after you've been making all that noise. Who's advising this man, Dillian Whyte? Who is advising Dillian Whyte? Who's advising him? Who advised him to take legal action against the WBC? I think I know who did that. Who advised Dillian Whyte to take legal action against the WBC and get himself involved in this bullshit in the first place? And who's now offering Dillian Whyte step-aside money 48 hours before the fucking purse bid? And you guys are trying to tell me that he is not a guard dog for Anthony Joshua. That's what you're trying to tell me. You're trying to tell me that Matchroom don't use him as a guard dog for Anthony Joshua. Are you nuts? If this is true, if it's untrue, let me tell you, in the next show, I will apologize to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. But Mike Coppinger is in Eddie Hearn's WhatsApp messages. I mean, he's about as close to, the only person closer to Eddie Hearn than Mike Coppinger is Barry Hearn. I don't think Eddie Hearn's own wife sees him more than Mike Coppinger does. I don't think Eddie Hearn messages his own wife more than he messages Mike Coppinger. So it's from a pretty fucking reliable source. So if this is the case, if Dillian Whyte's been offered a step-aside deal, Dillian needs to go home tonight and have a big, long think about what's been going on. A big, long think about what has been going on. 48 hours away, you would think Dillian Whyte would be the absolute priority, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? You would think Dillian Whyte would be the absolute priority. Let me tell you the play. I don't think this will happen. I want to make this clear. I don't think this will happen. But this is Matchroom's play, right? The play is this. Get Dillian Whyte to step aside and call off the guard dog. That's plan number one. Yeah? I'll tell you that now. This is their ideal world plan. I don't believe this will happen because I believe Anthony Joshua is going to turn down the money because he's never going to live it down. I think he should step aside, but he will never live it down. So I think AJ is going to turn the deal down. But this is Matchroom's play. This is why they need another 48 hours before the purse bid. You see this here? You see this? Let me show you Dillian. Hold on. This is Dillian. Because I know some people are a bit hard of hearing. This is Dillian. You see this? They want to offer Dillian money to step aside so that Anthony Joshua can fight Dillian Whyte. This would be the plan. Dillian, step aside. Here's some step aside money. Dillian, we're going to make you versus Anthony Joshua the rematch. So not only will Dillian get step aside money, chuck his ass in with Anthony Joshua so he makes a massive payday. Right? So he makes a massive... That's what I suspect will be offered to Dillian Whyte. Dillian, a.k.a. guard dog. Step aside, Dillian. Step aside, Dillian. Be the pawn for AJ, and then they're going to feed him to AJ on the DAZN pay-per-view or something like that. And the two of them will make a killing. Meanwhile, Fury will go and fight Usyk. And for the first time ever in history, Eddie Hearn will be sitting there watching Fury and Usyk, praying to the gods that Fury wins that fight. He'll be sitting there praying to the gods that Fury wins that fight, because if Fury comes through, what will happen after that? AJ versus Fury. The fight everybody wants for undisputed and everybody can make millions from it. This was never about justice for Dillian Whyte. Never about justice for Dillian Whyte. This purse bid should have been fucking sorted out weeks ago. They've been delaying the purse bid to try and get Dillian to step aside, because what they don't want is they don't want a half-cooked Anthony Joshua going in against Alexander Usyk. Who agrees with me and who disagrees with me? That's what I think it is. They don't want a half-cooked Anthony Joshua to get in with Usyk and get beat, because then the gravy train's over. So what they're going to do, they're going to call off the guard dog Dillian. They're going to call off the guard dog Dillian and stick Dillian in with AJ. So AJ can knock your head off in 5 or 6 rounds. And then if they're going to pray Fury beats Usyk. And then they're going to make the big fight. And that's what Eddie Hearn means when he talks about this. Look, when Eddie Hearn says, work with a new trainer, maybe have a fight first, and then go into a much bigger fight. What would be a much bigger fight than Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk? That's what I believe. That's what I believe the optimal play is. I don't think that will happen. You know, when you listen to these shows, there are a lot of people who listen to these boxing shows and they're quite low IQ. So you have to kind of remind them, because most of the people who listen to these boxing shows, not my one, but most of the people that listen to these other shows, right? You know the ones I'm talking about. These are guys who work in a chip shop, right? These are guys who wipe old people's asses for a living. They're not exactly the smartest knives in the drawer. So you have to kind of constantly hit these people and remind these people that I don't think this will happen, because I think AJ is going to scupper the whole thing. What I'm telling you is, I'm telling you what I believe is Matchroom's A+ scenario. If what Mike Coppinger is saying is true, both Whyte and Anthony Joshua were offered step-aside deals. Why the fuck would you offer Dillian Whyte a step-aside deal when you've been banging on for the last fucking... You know what? Again, how much of a journalist is Kugan Cassius? How much of a journalist is Kugan Cassius? If Kugan Cassius is any kind of a journalist, there is only one question that anybody that speaks to Eddie Hearn should be asking. And that question is the following. Eddie Hearn, did you offer Dillian Whyte a step-aside deal not to fight Tyson Fury? Was Dillian Whyte made any sort of offer by you that would result in him not fighting Tyson Fury? Somebody needs to ask Eddie the question. Somebody needs to ask Eddie the question, don't they? Because if he has offered Dillian a step-aside deal, it tells you everything you need to know. It tells you everything you need to know. Who does that suit, by the way? Who does that suit? Dillian stepping aside from the WBC world title. Who does that suit? Does that suit Dillian? I don't believe it suits Dillian at all. He might make more money, but it doesn't suit his career. It pretty much means he'll never be a fucking world champion. Because if he wants to fight Tyson Fury, now's the best time for him to fight Tyson Fury. A Tyson Fury that's just had his head knocked all over Rosette by Deontay Wilder. A Tyson Fury who's had about one fight in the last 2 years. If Dillian wants to be a world champion, then the time is now. So why has he been offered step-aside money? It is what it is, isn't it? I'll go through all your comments. Trust me, I'll go through them all. Daniel Campbell says, Hearn couldn't give a fuck about Dillian or AJ. He just cares about the money AJ can bring in and having another top 10 heavyweight he can use for some extra quid. Again, this is the $1 million question that needs to be asked. I'll answer this one more time. The British journalists out there need to ask the question, Eddie, have you offered Dillian step-aside money? Because if you have, I never want to hear anything Eddie Hearn has to say ever again. This man, they've accused the WBC of conspiring against Dillian Whyte. Yeah? Am I lying or am I not lying? They've accused the WBC of conspiracy against Dillian Whyte. as far as I'm aware. That's what I've seen, right? They're alleging unfair treatment from the WBC, and they've made a whole hullabaloo about it. Dragging people's names through the mud. And then 48 hours before it's time to put up or shut up, they're out here offering step-aside deals. Are you kidding me? Told you before, Dillian is a pawn. Dillian is a guard dog. And he's used to suit Anthony. That's all he's used for. He's used for as a disruptor. The game plan is simple. Anthony Joshua, make Anthony Joshua the world champion. That's it. Simple. That's the only business Matchroom are involved in right now. All right? You might as well call them AJ Room. That's it. Look, AJ Room are only interested in one thing. How can we make Anthony Joshua the undisputed champion? Simple and plain. Simple and plain. So that's it. That's their ploy. And there's some people in the comments who just don't get it. They're asking about this video from Tyson Fury like I give a shit. They're asking about this.
Joshua have got to be the worst established businessmen in history. Today they lost $90 million. Goddamn son of a bitches. Crazy ass.
Could you guys hear the sound on that video? Yes or no? I haven't even got my headphones in. Could you guys hear that Tyson Fury audio? With Tyson Fury saying that Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua have turned down 90 million. You heard that, yeah? I don't give a fuck. It's completely irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I don't care. Anthony Joshua's turned down X amount of money, yeah? Good for Anthony Joshua. I personally think he should take the step-aside money. I bet deep down inside, Anthony Joshua wants to take that step-aside money. But you know what it is? Do you know what it is? I bet you any money. The only reason he doesn't want to turn down a deal that makes perfect financial sense for him to do, right? That deal makes perfect financial sense for Anthony Joshua to take. The only reason he doesn't want to take it is because we'll have fucking morons on the internet calling him a coward for the next 1 to 2 years. And that's the reason he doesn't want to do it. The only reason he don't want to take that deal, AJ, the only reason he don't want to take that fucking deal is because he's afraid of what people will say about him. Because you know what he's been doing, AJ? He's been running his fucking gums talking about he's a throwback fighter. I done told you all this stuff is nonsense, man. Resumes, throwback fighters, all this stuff. It's nonsense. Do you guys not get it now? I'm a throwback fighter. Look at my resume. Who gives a fuck? All that shit Anthony Joshua's come and said, I'm a throwback fighter. If he steps aside, which he should step aside, if he steps aside, he's going to have to roll all of that talk back. And he doesn't want to do it. And it's a shame. He should turn around and say, stop telling me who to fucking drop a link for. What the fuck is wrong with people? Jesus fucking Christ. People are telling me how to run my own fucking channel. Shit, me. I'm in full flow right now. And I'm not in a good mood either, to be honest. I'm not in a good mood, man. Because you know what it is? It annoys me. Do you know why it annoys me? This is why it annoys me, right? And I want to get this off my chest, right? It annoys me because I can't believe I'm sticking up for Anthony Joshua. I can't believe I'm sticking up. This is how bad this situation's got to, yeah? This is how bad this situation's got to, that they got me capping for Anthony Joshua. The reason why, yeah, I'm sticking up for the dude is because the dude's got a new trainer. In my opinion, the dude hasn't got a settled training camp yet, yeah? So it's right for him to bed in with the new trainer, take a tune-up fight, take a shitload of money, come back, knock out someone like a Dillian Whyte in a big pay-per-view fight, make a shit ton of money, come back, and then fight undisputed. Whether that's Fury or Usyk or whoever it may be, fight undisputed. That makes the most logical sense. That's why this has been going on for so long. What do you think? Listen, look at Eddie Hearn. Does Eddie Hearn sound like a man who wants AJ to take this Usyk fight? Does he? You can see Eddie Hearn's quotes here on the right-hand side. Does Eddie Hearn sound like a man who wants AJ to jump straight into the Usyk? No, he doesn't. Anybody who knows about boxing knows that the smart play is for AJ to step aside. That's the smart play. But the reason is because him and his little casual fanboys have spent the last 5 and 6 years playing the anyone, anytime, anywhere game. You know, him and his little fanboy. And I told you as well. I told you before. You see how his little fanboys are more confident than he is? You see that? I keep telling you guys. You see how his little fanboys are more confident than he is? His fanboys are like, yeah, AJ will take on anybody. Look, he's fought all these guys in the top 10. Look at his resume. He'll fight anybody. And look where we are. It's been like 3-4 months since he lost to Usyk, and he still hasn't committed to the rematch. He still hasn't committed. They all know it's wrong. AJ knows he should step aside. AJ's management knows he should step aside, and Matchroom knows he should step aside. It's the right deal to do. But like I said before, when you put your face up on Snapchat and Instagram and you get these idiotic fans buying into your BS, I'm a throwback fighter. I would never duck and dodge anybody. I'm a throwback fighter. I'm a throwback fighter. I'm a smart individual. Every move, every step and move I make is calculated. When you come out with this nonsense, you can't row it back. I can imagine them all in the fish and chip shop right now, battering cod and serving up mushy peas and saying, hold on a minute, but AJ told us he was a throwback fighter. Why is he thinking about step aside money? AJ told everybody he's a throwback fighter. Oh my gosh, I really believed that. I really believed Eddie Hearn that they were that it was justice for Dillian Whyte. Hashtag justice for Dillian. Oh, I really believed in justice for Dillian Whyte. So why is Eddie Hearn offering Dillian Whyte step aside money then? If it's all about getting Dillian Whyte his WBC World Title shot, why are they offering step aside money then to Dillian Whyte 2 days before the purse bid? Can you imagine them in the chip shop right now? They'd be racking their fucking little brains, innit? Tapping away at their fucking Ericssons. Tapping away at them bullshit phones they got. Let me use a Google them phones for old people. Hold on. You know them old people phones? You know them phones with the big buttons for old people? Hold on. Here we go. Let me show you this. You know, these are the phones they be using to tweet on. These idiots. Oh wait, wrong screen. 1 sec. Let me drag it up right now. And I will be bringing people in. If people want to call in, they can call in, but not until I've finished my rant. Here we go. These are the phones that these people be using. The usual suspects on Twitter. I won't mention any names. The usual suspects on Twitter. They be using shit like this. Big buttons. Big buttons. You know they need them big buttons. Big buttons. And they be sitting there typing away going, I can't believe that what AJ said, he a throwback fighter. Why is AJ looking a step aside? He told us he was a throwback fighter. But AJ told us it's all about resume. AJ is telling us about all the guys in the top 10 he fought. Do you get it through your fucking heads now? It's nothing to do with resume. It's nothing to do with top 10, yeah? Take the step aside money, Anthony Joshua. Take the step aside money. That's it, Dench. Big button and caps lock. Big buttons on them phones. There's their mobile. Anyway, you guys know the picture. Let me go through your comments, and then if a few people want to come on, including Chevron, I'll bring them on. But I just want to make sure I get my rant in. Because these days, there's so many people that come on the show, I don't get time to get my own fucking opinions in. It's been a while, isn't it? Let me just go through some of these comments. Right, let's go through the poll first. Sorry, hold on. Let me get this damn phone off the thing. Here we go. Let me get this old people phone off the thing. There's Dillian Whyte. Let's leave Dillian Whyte up on the screen. Just to clarify before we go through the comments, I believe Anthony Joshua is going to turn down a step aside deal. And that what you're going to see is the following. I reckon you're going to have a purse bid in 48 hours. I'm predicting the purse bid will be won by DAZN and Matchroom. And if DAZN and Matchroom win the purse bid, then Tyson Fury needs to go over to DAZN and fight. In my opinion. Simple. I just want to see Dillian Whyte fight Tyson Fury if that fight happens. If that's the fight, that's the fight. I just want to see it happen now. Because all this, what's been going on now for the last 4 or 5 weeks, has been ridiculous. I don't care what TV channel it's on. I don't care who's promoting it. All I care about is that both fighters get a fair crack and a fair crack at the whip. That both fighters get fair judging. And let's just get this fucking fight on. Plain and simple. But again, told you before with these Dillian Whyte fans. Dillian Whyte ain't got no fans. The only fans of Dillian Whyte is Spencer Fearon, Dean White, and close family members. Those are the only people that are legitimate fans of Dillian Whyte. The rest of them are all Anthony Joshua fans, including Eddie Hearn himself, as you can see, which is the reason why they step aside. According to Mike Coppinger, step aside money has been offered. Now, let's get on to some of your comments. In fact, sorry, let me just go to the... I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Let's go to the poll. 100 votes in today's poll. Will Anthony Joshua step aside? Sorry, my fucking screen is going tits up again. Let me get rid of this. Will Anthony Joshua step aside? According to the poll... Oh my God, why is this fucking up? I can't even... Oh, let me drag it over here. Sorry, my screen's going doolally at the minute. It's just StreamYard's playing up. Sorry about that. StreamYard's playing up. I think that's something like 60% of you think he will step aside. I don't believe Anthony Joshua is going to step aside. At all. I don't believe Anthony Joshua will step aside. Let me go through all your comments. One sec. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. 130 in the chat. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit the subscribe button. And please hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button. 130 in the chat. Who else do you know is going to tell it how it is? What you want to go? You want to go and hear the other bullshit? They've been telling you justice for Dillian. That's what they've been telling you, innit? They've been telling you about justice for Dillian, innit? Justice for Dillian. So why has Dillian been offered money not to fight for the world title if Eddie Hearn is looking out for his best interest then? Innit? Funny how that works, innit? Right, let's get this fucking poll. YouTube's a joke at the minute. YouTube's a clown show. Right, here we go. Here we go. Right, let's get this poll. Right, will Anthony Joshua step aside? 57% of people, my StreamYard keeps going tits up, but 57% of people think he will step aside. I think you're crazy. Truth Always Wins is coming in and telling us things that we already knew about 5 hours ago. Big thanks for that, mate. Cheers. Nobody fucking knew that before. But don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you. 143 people here. As you can see, my StreamYards are cocking up. Here we go. Let's get some comments in. And then we'll bring some people in. Let's go through all these fucking comments. Oh my God. StreamYard's a disgrace. Here we go. They're coming through right. Let's go. Londoner in the Sticks says, Dillian, the human shield for Matchroom. Bazam, oh my God, I can't say that. Dave Lane says, at least if Fury versus Usyk happens, we don't have to download that bullshit app. I believe that you're going to see it next. You're going to see Fury and White, and I think you're going to see AJ Usyk. That's my prediction. TalkSport reported, a source has said that Joshua has asked for an extra 5 million, with 1 million going to charity. When did you hear that from TalkSport? AJ's asked for an extra 5 million and with 1 million going to charity. If AJ steps aside, you won't hear any criticism from me. And I'm telling you that now. If Anthony Joshua steps aside, you will not hear any criticism from me. But I know who you will hear criticism from, his own fans. That's who you will hear criticism from. Oh my gosh, 1 second. Let me get rid of all the StreamYard is absolutely pathetic. In the middle of the show, completely and utterly screwing me over here. Oh my God. Let's go through some more comments while I try and sort out StreamYard. Sorry about that. If they both accept to step aside, who's this? This is Joe Wall. If they both accept to step aside, they should have to drop any rights to rematches, mandatories, etc., etc. There we go. We've got some of our screen back. Mr. Anderson agrees with what I'm saying. That makes sense, Ultra. I'm not up on all this stuff at the moment, but from what you said, I agree. Dave Lane says, if Fury fights Usyk and wins and becomes undisputed, I can't see him fighting AJ. Like, what does AJ bring to the table? Fury will retire in the middle of the ring. That's what he'll do. Just to shove one up Eddie Hearn's backside, he'll retire in the middle of the ring. But the fight will eventually happen because there's too much money. Fury will retire in the middle of the ring and make AJ sweat for a bit, and the fight will happen. It might happen a bit too late, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months later than it should. But I think Fury will retire in the middle of the ring and then he'll come back and fight AJ. There's too much money. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. This is all about making AJ versus Fury. Because if AJ goes in half-cooked and gets beaten by Usyk, then there is no more AJ versus Fury no more. Or the fight's worth even less money. Makes sense? The more Anthony Joshua keeps losing, the less money this fight is worth. And that's why Eddie Hearn's doing what Eddie Hearn's doing. Right? That's why he's doing what he's doing. Because the more Anthony Joshua loses, the less this fight is worth. Simple as that. So that's the reason why that's happening. They're trying to protect their investment. They don't want AJ to get beat right now. Because then AJ versus Fury for undisputed goes down the toilet even more. The safe bet is to let AJ knock over Dillian Whyte in a couple of rounds, let Fury have a shot at beating Usyk, and then send AJ in afterwards. That's the safe bet. Jason Mazer, thank you very much, brother. I see you in the chat, and thank you very much for the support. The captain says, agree with all of this. I'm not convinced of Fury beating Usyk. I honestly believe the Tyson Fury that fought Deontay Wilder in the third fight would lose to Usyk. Bad matchup for Fury. Fury versus AJ, I'm going to go with Fury by knockout right now because, you know, if Fury and AJ were to fight next, I'm going with Fury by knockout. But Usyk's a bad matchup for Fury. Such a bad matchup for him. And I'm telling you, like I said before, I'm not a believer in this Kronk style nonsense. As you guys know, I'm not a believer in it. I think it's a load of, not a load of nonsense, but yeah. Let me keep going through this. Mark Stanton. When the WBC give you less than 10% the regular standard purse split, they are saying you're not. Well, the thing is, the weird thing is, right? We keep hearing how Eddie Hearn and DAZN have got all this money, right? We keep hearing how Eddie Hearn and DAZN have got all this money. So it's a bit strange that the purse split's been delayed this many times, isn't it? So strange, isn't it? You thought they would just go ahead and do it, but there's something's going on, isn't there? Oh my God, so many comments here. I'm trying to go through as many as I can. Pericles says, the only way AJ gets an undisputed fight is to step aside and hope Fury will fight. That's what they're thinking. This is what they're thinking. This is the gamble that I believe Matchroom are trying to take. It's all about Fury versus AJ. And that can't happen if AJ goes in half-cooked with a brand new trainer versus Alexander Usyk. He nearly got stopped in the last round. Anthony Joshua's turning up on IFL TV and he's telling people stuff like, oh, well, I won 3 rounds and Usyk won 9. Anthony Joshua, no disrespect, but you nearly got stopped in the final round. You got battered, mate. If that fight had gone on one more round, Anthony Joshua would have got knocked out. He was fucking nearly out on his feet in them last seconds. You've all seen the footage, haven't you, of them throwing the towel in, right? Have you seen the footage of Anthony Joshua taking a battering at the end of round 12 and someone throwing a fucking towel in? The guy was like 30 seconds away from being finished in the fight. And you think Matchroom want to go and risk all of that again? Send him in there half cooked with Robert Garcia? No. What the A game will be is do this. Get Dillian to take step-aside money so they can do an in-house Matchroom fight. Let Dillian get his brain smashed in by AJ. Once Dillian gets beaten by AJ, forget all that talk about justice for Dillian and the WBC. All of that will go away. By the way, once Dillian Whyte gets beat, you'll never hear any of these fans talk about all these AJ fans talking about how hard he's been done by all that. Don't forget about all that because it was never about Dillian. That's what I've been trying to explain to these people. It was never about Dillian. Never. It's all about AJ. AJ room. Gary Harrison says, evening, Ultra. Anthony stepping aside makes perfect sense. Getting paid for doing nothing. Zenas says, Tyson could have fought AJ for 100 mil and turned it down. Could have gave Wilder the step aside. Now he wants AJ to step aside. Complete and utter BS, as we know. The fucking courts jumped in to make sure that Tyson Fury fulfilled his obligation to Deontay Wilder. Let's go through here. Oh, okay. Right, let's go to some more recent comments. Sorry about that. Let's go to some more recent comments. Let's go through here. Hold on. Jesus. Hi, Ultra. Plot twist. I've got White beating AJ this. Do you know what? I was thinking about this today. If White does fight AJ, it could happen. Hello, Porky. Hello, Porky. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're well and healthy. I'm not getting involved in any of the YouTube beef, Porky, but obviously, we hope that you're healthy and that we hope that you're recovering very well. Porky says, Big Meech has to go down in history as the biggest fraud to ever lace up a pair of gloves. He has shown UK boxing up to such an extent that the Yanks think we are Muppets. Let me ask Anthony Joshua fans this right now. I don't care if AJ steps aside. I think he should step aside. But let me ask Anthony Joshua fans this honest question, right? This honest question. If Anthony Joshua stepped aside, right? This would be the second time, yeah? Second time that he walked away from a fight hoping that Tyson Fury would jump in and do the job for him. Do you remember the Wilder fight? When Eddie Hearn, Shelley Finkel, Lou DiBella and Al Heyman spent fucking 3 years talking about a fight that never happened. Do you remember that? And then do you remember Tyson Fury came out of retirement and after his second tune-up fight jumped in and took the fight that Anthony Joshua should have taken? Do you remember that? Do you remember that when Fury jumped in and took the fight that Anthony Joshua should have taken about fucking 2, 3, 4 years ago? Can you imagine if that was to happen again? Can you imagine if Tyson Fury had to step in for a second time and basically finish AJ's dinner? Isn't it though? That's what's going on, isn't it? Let's be real. That's what's going on, isn't it? If AJ does step aside, which I think he should do, and Tyson Fury goes in and beats Usyk, bro, that's like the second time Fury's had to go in and it'll be away from home because it'll be in Saudi Arabia. It'll be the second time that Fury has to step away from home to jump in and finish something that Anthony Joshua started. Meanwhile, all these dudes on YouTube are making videos calling fighters cowards and shit. He's a coward. He's a coward. He's a pussy. He's this, he's that. This is the kind of reason why AJ in the end is probably gonna turn it down. Because do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the implications amongst his own fan, I don't know. Normally, you think he wouldn't care about that kind of thing, but I do think he cares about it. I do think he cares about it. And that's why I think he's gonna turn it down. And let me tell you something. If Anthony Joshua does turn it down and get him with Usyk, I'll give him a hell of a lot of credit. Because it takes balls. It takes balls to do that. It takes big balls for Anthony Joshua to do that. So let me tell you something. If Anthony Joshua steps aside, I'm going to give him credit because it's the smart thing to do. He should step aside. But if he doesn't step aside and if he turns down a bunch of money to go in there and finish what he started with Usyk, then he goes up in my estimation as well. I'm not an AJ hater. What I'm talking about is his fan base are morons. And they're never going to be able to live that down, are they? His little fan base, his little cheerleaders. They're never going to be able to live it down if Fury has to go away from home yet again and finish AJ's dinner. Eyes bigger than the menu, AJ. Eyes bigger than the menu. You know when people come around your house, how many sausages do you want? Oh, mate, I'll have 4 sausages. Are you sure you can handle 4 sausages? Are you really sure that you can handle 4 sausages? Because I've seen you eat before, and you look like you can only get through 2. Now, Ultra, give me 4 sausages. I'm really hungry. I can handle it. And then what happens? What happens? Then they freeze, innit? Then they freeze. Oh, Ultra, my stomach's hurting. Oh, my stomach, Ultra. Tell you what, box it up for me. Box it up for me, Ultra. Put it in the fridge, and I'll finish it later. That's AJ, innit? If he steps aside, that's effectively what AJ will be doing, innit? He'll be saying to Tyson Fury, oh, you know what? I'm full up, you know? You know what, blood? I'm full up. I'm full up. Can you give me a doggy bag? You know them guys who go to the all-you-can-eat buffet? Do you know these dudes who go to the all-you-can-eat buffet and they come back with a big plate of shit and they can't finish it? And then next minute they're going, hey, oh, my stomach, can I have a doggy bag? Can I have a doggy? That's going to be Anthony Joshua if he steps aside. That's going to be Anthony Joshua if he steps aside. Tyson Fury going to have to step in and clean up this man's mess yet again. Jesus Christ. And that's why he won't want to do it. He won't want to do it. All that talk, innit? Let's get some people in. Let me give Shevin the link. He wants to chat. All this talk, innit? About throwback fighter. Fuck me. I think it's a load of nonsense, mate. All this talk about being a throwback fighter. All this talk of resume. But, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? Right, let's send some links out. Get some links out. Bear with me, yeah? I'm multitasking. You know what they say about men and multitasking? And how we're not very good at it? Do you know what I mean? Right, let me give Shevin this link. You better come with some fire, Shevin, because I'm not in the mood tonight. Right, I've sent this full Shevin the link. Let me get a quick picture while we're waiting for Shevin. Let me, let me get a picture up of this, of what AJ can't finish. Let me show you about AJ. Chinese all-you-can-eat. Let me clarify, because I know a lot of people don't understand what I'm saying. Anthony Joshua, to clarify, should step aside. But if he does, this is effectively what he's going to be asking Tyson Fury to do. This is AJ right now. There you go. There's AJ at the buffet. That's AJ at the buffet right now. As you can see there, look. He got the roast duck there. He got the roast pork there. He got the shrimps there. Can you see? And AJ's saying, oh, you know what? You know what, Tyson? I don't think I can finish all this. Do you know what, Tyson? I don't think I can finish all this. That's what's going on, innit? He can't finish, man. This man can't finish. Throwback fighter. Let me go through some more comments while we wait for Shevin. Yeah. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson, do you still want to come on, Mr. Anderson? Because you said you wanted to come on earlier. Mr. Anderson, if you still want to come on, let me know. George C says, Usyk is the equivalent to them spicy hot wings you can't stomach. Do you know what? I honestly think Usyk might be a bit too much for Fury right now. That's my opinion, you know. Listen, let me tell you something. If it goes like this, AJ versus Whyte and Usyk versus Fury, I'm going to say we're going to get AJ versus Usyk rematch for Undisputed. That's what I think will happen. I think AJ will knock out Dillian Whyte in 6 rounds. And I think AJ will knock Dillian Whyte in 6 rounds. And I think Usyk will get a decision over Fury right now. So I'm going for AJ versus Usyk. Nadav Drew says, I want to come on if invited. All right, a few of you want to come on. Does anybody else want? There's a few of you want to come on. All right, we'll open up the line. The thing is, I can't drop the link in the chat. And the reason why I can't is because people come on and just talk crap. Hold on. Oh, shit. Let me get this guy in. Oh, shit. I can't even hear it. Let me just... Hold on, Chef. Let me just get my headphones so I can hear you. One sec, Chef. Let me just get these headphones on so I can hear you. Oh, I can hear you. Are you eating or something?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay, Chef, I'm going to go and get a drink. So just say what you got to say.
Cool.
Let me mute myself.
All right, so here's my thing. I feel like I'm defending AJ as well, but in a different way. In reference to should Anthony Joshua step aside, I think he should not step aside. And it's not because of the nonsense of he has to prove he's a coward, not a coward, he's a throwback fighter. Fuck all that shit. Just from a practical standpoint, I like dealing in probability. I like dealing in numbers. I play a bit of cards, okay? And let me just preface this by going back to the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury situation, where people were saying that Deontay Wilder should just step aside and take all this money to not fight, and Fury will fight AJ and he'll get the winner, all this nonsense. And Al Heyman knew if I let Fury go off with that belt and unify with AJ and have 2 fights with AJ or whoever, I'm not going to get that belt back. Or I'm not going to get that belt back on the terms that I have agreed on at the moment.
Shevin,
sorry,
carry on, Shevin. Sorry, carry on.
So that's why I worry about if I'm AJ, because right now everyone knows the saying, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Now, I feel what you're saying, Ultra, because you're like, listen, take this money, go knock out Dillian Whyte in 3 rounds, you'll get money from that fight, you'll get step-aside money, and then you'll get big money in the unification fight with Fury probably, right? That's best scenario for AJ. The problem with that ideology is it's all preference on Tyson Fury actually taking the fight. 2 things. Tyson Fury actually taking the fight with Anthony Joshua after he beats Usyk. And I don't think he would. And my issue with that is, so say Tyson Fury, let's break numbers down. Right now, AJ versus Usyk, 50-50 fight, right? Like Anthony Joshua could win that fight 50-50, right?
Yeah, less than 50-50, but yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there, right? He has a good chance to win the fight, no problem. 50-50, whatever, 50% chance. If he does step aside, one of 3 things are going to happen. 1, Fury will actually unify, win the fight, and he'll fight him. That's possible. The second thing is Fury will fight Usyk, beat Usyk, and retire. That's possible. Right. The third thing is Tyson Fury will beat Usyk and then either retire or make demands on Anthony Joshua to terms that Joshua and Matchroom would never agree to, so that fight can't happen. So one of those 3 things are going to happen. 2 of them are not in Anthony Joshua's favor, which means there's only a 33% chance of things happening in his favor if he steps aside. But if he takes the fight, there's a 50% chance of him getting those belts back.
It's a very, very good point, but this is my opinion. This is not fact. I'm just going to give you my opinion, yeah? Mm-hmm. I don't believe ultimately Tyson Fury is going to turn down a fight with Anthony Joshua, a fight that even if he loses to Usyk, he'd probably still be the favourite in to make a shitload of money. What I think he would do is retire and play games, but ultimately there's too much money on the table for them to turn that fight down. But I tell you what's an even bigger threat than all of that happening. Here's a bigger threat, yeah? Right? You think about all the hundreds of millions, right, that could be made or whatever that could be made from Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, right, worldwide. That's all on the line. Because if you send a half-cooked AJ with Usyk, and if Usyk finishes the job, yeah, then that fight becomes significantly less. You're losing money. And that's my opinion. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong at all. You're probably right. Lord knows you've probably been right more times than me on my own channel, right? But what I'm saying is, I feel, just my opinion, yeah, is that the bottom line of it is this. It's all been about AJ versus Tyson Fury. You saw as soon as Whyte beat Povetkin in the rematch, right? You would have thought Whyte would have been Matchroom's #1 priority, right? As soon as Whyte beat Povetkin, and as soon as Fury got the, as soon as Whyte beat Povetkin, and as soon as there was any kind of window to make Fury versus AJ, you saw what Eddie Hearn did. He put Dillian Whyte back in his kennel, yeah? He put the guard dog back in. Guard dog went back in his kennel, yeah? Right? And Dillian Whyte was forgotten about. Meanwhile, Eddie Hearn was drapesing up in Saudi Arabia, trying to get the Saudis to step out for an imaginary fight. So you already know what their intention is. You already know what their intention is from the last time Eddie Hearn spent fucking 6 months. 6 months during COVID, this man was talking to us, and you had Tyson Fury fucking around talking about I'm talking to Saudi royal princes on the phone. Remember all that?
I remember that. Yeah.
You remember that with Tyson Fury with his fucking bold head on it, bold ass Luke Fury on Instagram. Yeah, I've just been talking to some Saudi princes. This is the fight that they want to make. This has always been the target. Dillian Whyte has always been a fucking guard dog. And if there's any sniff they can make that fight, they will make that fight. But if Anthony Joshua goes in that ring and Usyk finishes the job he started in round 12 and cleans his clock, then that fight becomes significantly less. Because Anthony Joshua got stopped badly by Andy Ruiz. He got knocked down 5 times. Yeah? Knocked down 5 times, spat his gum shield, turned around to the corner and looked like he'd had enough. Right? Now, he performed fantastically in the rematch, right? He got dropped heavily by Klitschko and he nearly got his lights put out. And then a cruiserweight jumped into his own backyard and beat him up for 12 rounds and beat him to a point where in the 12th round, somebody from Lord knows where threw the bloody white towel in. So Andy Joshua is on potentially, commercially, he's on borrowed time. He's on borrowed time. And that's what I think Matchroom are reacting to. They can see the gravy train slipping away. And that's why I think it's very, very significant. If what Mike Coppinger is saying true, and they've offered Dillian that step aside money, I think it's just, it tells you everything. I tell you, Shevin, I'll let you talk, sorry. If they have offered Dillian that step aside money, that's all I want to know. I don't care about what AJ said, yeah? If they have offered Dillian Whyte a step aside, if they're trying to get Dillian Whyte to walk away from his own world title shot, after everything they've been and done with WBC, if they're trying to get Dillian to walk away from his own world title shot, then that tells you everything you need to know about what Eddie Hearn's about what Matchroom about this whole situation. It's AJ room. They're in the AJ business, and Dillian Whyte's a fucking passenger. Carry on, Chef.
Yeah, so obviously we've all known for a long time Dillian Whyte has been a pawn for Matchroom, and I think he somewhat knows he's been a pawn for Matchroom and a bodyguard for Anthony Joshua. Initially, they were trying to use Dillian Whyte to get Deontay Wilder on his own. Then Deontay Wilder lost that belt, and now is trying to get that belt somehow from Tyson Fury to keep Anthony Joshua from having to fight Fury or having to fight Wilder to get those belts. And they've been successful using him thus far, but it's coming to a head now, and something's going to have to happen. And to jump on the point you just made, Ultra, and this is why it's so risky for me, too risky for me if I was making decisions for Anthony Joshua, which I would never do because I'm too stupid for that. But if I'm making decisions for him from a business standpoint and promotional standpoint, it's just, to me, it's another element of risk that I just forgot about that you reminded me of. Say he fights, he takes step aside, which would mean him and Whyte both step aside, right? And Tyson Fury goes and has a fight with Usyk. A few things. One, I'm pretty sure there'll be a rematch clause for either guys. They're both champions with belts. There's no in hell, there's no rematch clause with all those belts in the line. So you're looking at a year at least. And then, like you said, I think Fury would retire in the ring. He would mess about for a year or two to get all things terms for that fight with AJ in his favor. So you're looking at Anthony Joshua having 18 months to 2 years minimum before he can have that fight with Tyson Fury. In that time frame, Ultra, he's not just going to be able to fight Dillian Whyte. Anthony Joshua, they're going to put him in the ring with someone else, probably twice, that they can put on Sky pay-per-view. So he's looking at 3 fights that he's going to have before he can have that unification big fight with Fury, and he can lose either one of them. And if he loses one of those fights, it's really over. So that's why I say fight Usyk, then try and fight Fury, opposed to don't fight Usyk, you fight Whyte, someone else. It's just pure probability. The more times you take risks, the more chances you have to lose. And I just think the long game for fighting Fury, he's going to get in the ring with guys that can beat him. And if he loses to one of those guys, he's fucked.
Let me say this now. If this purse bid, which I think it will go ahead, if this purse bid goes ahead on Friday, and somehow Matchroom and DAZN do not win this purse bid, right?
I think they will.
If they somehow don't win it, Dillian Whyte might as well retire from boxing. Yeah. I'm just at that point because he was offered a good deal by Top Rank. Right? He was offered a very, very good deal. Dillian Whyte, for those of you who don't know, was offered something like $5 million guaranteed plus
25%. Yeah.
So he's offered 5 million guaranteed plus pay-per-view. So he was offered some good money, right? If somehow, some way, Matchroom and DAZN did not win that purse bid on Friday, and Dillian Whyte ended up having to take that 20% cut, he must have to be one of the. I just can't believe that situation. Surely that can't happen. Surely that can't happen. That they lose the purse bid, that Dillian Whyte ends up getting 20% of XYZ cut given to him by Top Rank and whoever, right? And it turns out, what does he do? What does he do? There's something going on. There's more to this. I'm convinced there's more to this than meets the eye. There's more to this than meets the eye. Something's going on. Go on, sorry.
I saw an interview Eddie said about a week or 2 weeks ago that, so I forgot who asked him, but he says, listen, if things go on and we're at the point where that fight is 80-20, I would advise Dillian Whyte to not take the fight. And which I guess that's also saying if Top Rank wins this purse bid, he would advise Dillian Whyte to not take the fight.
Well, Shevin, hold on a minute. This is the other thing in it, Shevin. If the 80-20 is so easy for Matchroom and DAZN to win, why are they holding out for arbitration to change the split?
I know.
There's something is not right. I can't put my finger on it, but something is going on here that is not right. There's something going on that doesn't make sense.
I don't understand. And listen, when it comes to fights in terms of who's going to win a fight, my record is worse than David Haye. I pick every single fight wrong, okay? I mean, no one's more wrong than me when it comes to who's going to win the fight. But when it comes to whether a fight's going to happen, I'm batting a very, very high percentage.
You are.
Just the logistics-wise, for this fight, if this fight doesn't, if like you said, if the DAZN and Matchroom don't win this purse bid, does Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn have like some secret, like was Dillian Whyte fighting dogs with Michael Vick back in the day and they got video of it? I don't understand why Whyte stays with him. And it's not because I'm pro Top Rank or pro, I don't give a fuck about none of them. But
let me tell you something.
The big fights are not with Eddie Hearn if you're not giving him Joshua. So why are you staying?
Well, if I'm honest to God, right? If I'm Dillian Whyte, yeah, right, and Eddie Hearn comes to me and says, Dillian, I'm going to offer you money, right? Or there's money offered to you to not take this world title shot. If I'm Dillian Whyte sitting in my flat in Brixton tonight playing Xbox, which is what we'll be doing, Dillian Whyte will be sitting in Brixton tonight in his flat playing Xbox, yeah?
Yep.
If I get a text message saying, Dillian, we're going to offer you some money to not take this fight. And for those of you who don't know, for those of you who are just joining us, 155 in the chat, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. The news is, it's news from Mike Coppinger, which I think is the key. Everybody's focusing on Tyson Fury's Instagram. I don't give a shit about that. Mike Coppinger's saying that step-aside money has been offered to both Anthony Joshua and to Dillian Whyte. That's what he's been said. All I'm saying is this, Shevin. If I'm Dillian Whyte tonight and someone's offering me money and my promoter's presenting an offer to me to not fight for the world title that they just told me to go and sue the WBC for, alarm bells would be ringing in my head. Shevin, that's all I got to tell you. If I'm Dillian tonight and that offer comes through to me, I'd be saying, hold on a minute. You advised me that it was okay to sue the WBC. You told me that this was all a conspiracy against me by the WBC. You said you were going to back me 100% of the way, and that all you wanted to do was see me get my title shot. And now we're 48 hours away from a purse bid, right? And all of a sudden, I'm getting offered money not to fight. Carry on, Chef. What do you think about that? What do you think Dillian's thinking? It's bizarre. It tells me. Go on. So carry on, Chef. Sorry.
No, I don't understand. You remember about a year ago, maybe it was 2 years ago, where Dillian went on a tour where he had met with PBC, he met with Top Rank, and I didn't meet with Frank Warren for obvious reasons because Frank kind of fucked that up. But all the big heavyweight fights for Dillian Whyte, again, if Eddie Hearn cannot give you a fight versus Anthony Joshua, which is a big money fight for Dillian Whyte, every single other fight, whether it's Joe Joyce versus Tyson Fury versus Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder, no matter who the fighter is, those fights are with Queensberry, Top Rank, or PBC. So if the guys in your weight division, the biggest money fights are with other promoters, you have to sign to other promoters to get those fights, unless Eddie Hearn is going to give you a Joshua fight. If he's not giving you a Joshua fight, why are you staying with him? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it.
He has to be the worst free agent of all time. He's the only free agent. Dillian Whyte has to be the only free agent you know that won't deal with anybody else. That's why he gets treated in the way he gets treated, isn't it? Because he doesn't behave like a free agent, does he? To guys in the chat, yes or no? Do you agree with me, or do you think I've got it wrong? Have you ever seen a free agent behave like Dillian Whyte behaves? No disrespect. Maybe there's things going on I don't know, but I've never seen a free agent behave like Dillian Whyte. He's a free agent, but he basically behaves like he's owned by Matchroom. Like he can't talk to other promoters, or we can't do a deal with, like, you know, but before, do you guys remember when he became mandatory, right? He became mandatory officially. Do you remember when Eddie Hearn was holding press conferences on his behalf? Eddie Hearn's not even Dillian Whyte's promoter. And Eddie Whyte's holding press conferences on Dillian Whyte's behalf, talking about, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and Fury's going to have to agree to this, and Fury's going to have to do this. And we were saying this at the time. We were saying, what the fuck is going on, Dillian? Eddie Hearn's not even your promoter. You're a free agent. Behave like a free agent. Carry on, Chef.
It goes back to someone who's on a much smaller level, but the same thing took place, and that was Dave Allen. We all saw Dave Allen turn down a massive six-figure offer because he was advised by Eddie Hearn to do so. And in return, he never got a bigger fight offer than he was going to get. He went with Frank Warren and fought Danny Dubois. He chose not to take the money with the promise he'll get more money. That promise never matriculated. Now you go on to a guy like Canelo Alvarez. We all know that Canelo got all this crazy $300 million from DAZN. But Canelo Alvarez knows that, well, he knew, if I include Eddie Hearn and Matchroom in the process of making the biggest fight on pay-per-view I can make right now versus Caleb Plant, the fight won't happen. So I'm sorry, Eddie, but they're offering me a bunch of money to fight on US pay-per-view and make a ton of money. They don't want you involved, so fuck off. And when I'm finished with this fight, maybe I'll do business with you again when it's advantageous to me. I don't understand why Dillian Whyte won't do that. And Canelo looked at Eddie Hearn and said, listen, dude, I like you, but a big pay-per-view fight on U.S. television. Are you out of your mind? You want me to come keep fighting on an app that no one's watching?
Right, guys, let's get your comments in because I'm going to end this show shortly. Nadav said he wanted to come on and he hasn't shown up. So I don't know. Nadav, you've got basically 10 minutes. Guys in the comments, what is going to happen, right? Very, very simple. We'll read out all your comments, yeah? What is going to happen on Friday? Is AJ going to step aside and we get the fight? Or are we going to get Fury versus Whyte, and who's going to win the purse bid? I'll go first. I think what we're going to see on Friday is a purse bid that's won by Matchroom and DAZN, and that Fury and Whyte will be happen. Whether the fight happens, I'll believe it when I see them in the ring, obviously, but I believe that the fight will go to purse bid on Friday. Everybody's telling me that Matchroom and DAZN have got, infinite money. So I'm going to go with Matchroom and DAZN to win the purse bid and the fight to happen on DAZN. Nadav, you're here. Are you coming on, Nadav? Because if you are, I'm going to get you a link. You need to email me, Nadav, at ultratechsports@gmail.com. ultratechsports@gmail.com, Nadav, and I can send you a link if you want to pop on. But that's my prediction. Give me your predictions now in the chat, and I'll ring them and I'll read them all out. That's my prediction, Chevin. What's yours for Friday?
Friday. My prediction is, I do believe, whether it's this week or next week, Anthony Joshua will not take step-aside money. I think he'll take the fight. For multiple reasons that we both talked about. One, I think he's worried about the wrong people, fans. However, I think there are some advantages to taking the fight because you guarantee yourself a chance at those belts and not letting Tyson Fury run off with them. So I get that. I think he'll take the fight because of one of those two reasons. Now, as far as Fury and Whyte goes, if the purse bid happens, I expect DAZN to win the purse bid. And if they win the purse bid, I expect Fury to get franchised or vacate because he will not fight on DAZN, as long as he has a fight left on ESPN. And if Top Rank wins the purse bid, I guess Dillian Whyte will turn the fight down because he's not taking 20% and go fight, go fight Joseph Parker again, which is a really good fight.
Okay, let's read some comments. Damian Brown says Joshua doesn't want to fight Usyk and is looking for a way out. Short answer, Chevin. Short answer.
Yes. He doesn't want to fight. Yeah, he doesn't want to
Go
fight.
on. No, go on. Finish
No,
what you say.
I think AJ's in a position right now where he doesn't want to fight a guy that he can lose to. That's not going to make him mega money. And this Usyk fight was not going to make him the kind of money that Fury would.
Mark Stanton. I think White will turn down the step aside and take Fury fight, forcing the AJ Usyk rematch.
Yeah, I think if White, if look, the same thing I said before, Matchroom was the purse bid, Fury would not find his own.
You know, we're gonna know about this before Friday. It's not gonna be go to the wire. This we'll know.
No,
I think we'll know. It's not gonna go to the wire. We'll know in 24 hours or less if this is really gonna happen. In 24 hours time or less, if this is really on, you'll start hearing some leaks coming from Coppinger. Shout out to Chris McKenna, who had a quick back and forth on Twitter today. You'll hear it from a Coppinger or a Chris McKenna or someone like that. It will happen in the next 24 hours. You'll hear something like Anthony Joshua accepts it or somebody. So it was or a Gareth A. Davis, a Gareth A. Fury. You'll hear it from somebody, but then we'll know in the next 20, we'll know. I'm pretty confident that in the next 24 hours, we will know what's going to happen. Hold on a minute. Let's have a look. Davis and Dave says, my prediction is Dillian Whyte signs for Top Rank and is fed up to Fury and others. AJ has to fight Usyk, and then that is checkmate for Matchroom. I think Dave was some wishful thinking there. But listen, it makes sense for Dillian to do the deal, doesn't it?
It does. I wish he would do that. I wish Dillian Whyte would do that. Not just for me, but for himself. The reality is, Dillian Whyte, Anthony Joshua, no matter who you are, no matter what kind of fighter you are, no matter where you fight, which promotional company you're with, okay? The money is and always will be with America and American television networks. That's where every fighter aspires to be if you're a prize fighter. You're never going to be but so big fighting in stadiums.
Yeah, fight. Oh, gosh, don't start with that stuff. It's a stadium fight, guys. It's a stadium fight. Chris Angelo, guys, keep your I'm surprised I thought we'd get more predictions. 146 in the chat. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. As you can see, I'm up my ass here with all these with the low numbers of subs, but it is what it is. Chris Angelo says Dillian will not step aside, saving AJ's face in the process. You know what, actually, Shevin, if you were Dillian, would you step aside? I think AJ should step aside. You disagree? Do you think if you were Dillian, would you step aside or not?
Step aside the Tyson Fury fight?
Yeah, to take the AJ fight.
Hell no. And I'll tell you a simple reason why. Fight Tyson Fury, that fight would be on ESPN, American Television Network. Win, lose, or draw, your name and your draw is much bigger to have another bigger fight afterwards, opposed to fighting Joseph Parker on Sky at 5 p.m. on Saturday and his draw stays the same.
Davis and Dave says Dillian Whyte just has to crack out a 2-fight deal with Top Rank for X amount of money and then get out.
Love it. I love that idea for him. I love it. Why would he do that?
Londoner in a Stick says AJ wants out to buy more time with his new trainer. Let me just quickly butt in Londoner in a Sticks. Should I tell you what I think? Like I said before, I'll make it clear. I think everybody on AJ's side will be telling him right now, step aside. If you just look at the recent media, Shevin, in the UK, right? I know you don't. Okay, but in the UK, right? IFL TV been, getting the usual bums out, the Matthew Macklins, the Dave Coldwells, they've been dragging all the company men out of the woodwork, to get their opinion, and all of the company men are telling AJ to step aside. They dragged out Conor Benn on TalkSport.
I saw that.
Did you see Conor Benn, by the way? Have you heard his excuse for not fighting Avanesian? This is Conor Benn, I'm not fighting Avanesian because he's just after a money grab. Mate, I'm not being funny. That tells you how fuck boxing is a sport. Why do you care why another fighter's calling you out? If the guy's got a European title, Conor Benn was calling out Josh Kelly. Remember this, right? Conor Benn was calling out Josh Kelly for months and years. He was calling out Josh Kelly, Josh Kelly was battered, and wiped out by Avanesian, right? Now, all of a sudden, you think the next logical progression for Conor Benn is to fight Avanesian. He's the guy who beat the guy that you were calling out. There's a European title on the line, and there's a spot with a WBC on the line as well, right? Spot with a WBC and a European title. And Conor Benn's now talking about, but he's only calling me out for money. It doesn't matter why he's calling you out. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this stuff? I'm not going to fight him because he's just after a money grab. Man, that's besides the point. The point is, he's got something that you haven't got, yeah? Which is a European title. He's a former world champion. He's got a European title and XYZ. Anyway, sorry, let me quickly carry on this. AJ wants out to buy more time with his new trainer. Even Conor Ben was saying on TalkSport that Anthony Joshua should take the step aside. I think even Tony Sims, guys, yes or no, am I right in the chat? I believe even Tony Sims has gone on record and said the sensible thing for Anthony Joshua to do is to take the money and run. And they don't get any closer to Eddie Hearn than Tony Sims. I mean, Eddie Hearn and Tony Sims are like brothers, right? So yeah. Tony Sims knows what's going on, yeah? Tony Sims will know exactly what's going on. Yeah, he used to coach AJ during the, remember that little run, the 02 era run with Dennis Baktov and Matt Skelton?
Cornish.
Yeah, you go, Cornish. So Tony Sims will know what's going on, right? So when he comes out and says stuff like AJ should step aside, that's how you know straight away it's a possibility. So let me make that clear, London at Inner Sticks. Anthony Joshua will be under pressure tonight to turn it down. Eddie Hearn will be telling him to turn it down. His former coaches will be telling him to turn it down. Rob McCracken probably would have told his ass to turn it down. His new trainer probably tell him to turn it down because his new trainer can then get 2 fights with him instead of 1 and make a double payday.
Good point.
So they'll all be telling AJ right now. AJ's phone will be blowing up. And they'll be telling him, look, mate, forget all this shit you've been talking on IFL TV about, I'm a throwback fighter. Yeah, forget all that shit. Do the right thing. Take the money and get the fuck out of there, AJ. But you know what's stopping him? All of these idiots out there. So, carry on. We're going to get, London Instinct's final prediction. He says, we're going to get Fury versus Usyk and Hearn will force feed us AJ versus Whyte 2 as the Zone's first pay-per-view event, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You don't buy that, do you, Chef? Let's get Marco in here.
I think I do think if AJ steps aside, he will fight Dillian Whyte. I mean, think about it. If he steps aside, he's not going to be out the ring for 18 months before a big fight. So he's got.
What do you think happens if he fights? So what do you think happens if he fights Dillian Whyte? Let me tell you now. If he can't beat Dillian Whyte, I don't want to hear from him again. Pack it up. I'm serious. If Dillian Whyte knocks him out, pack it up. I'm serious. Pack it up.
Listen, I went back and I've watched that first Dillian Whyte AJ fight a few times, and I've always bring this up to people. I think people have revisionist history with that fight. And no, Dillian I know he had a shoulder injury, and guys were younger at that time. But I thought Anthony Joshua won every freaking round in that fight, even the one he got hurt in. The fight was not competitive. He beat the hell out of Dillian Whyte. I expect he'll do the same thing again.
Dillian had one moment. He had one moment in the whole fight. Dillian had one moment, but Dillian nearly got him out of there though. He was badly hurt. It's the left hook to the body. Dillian, it's not even the left hook to the head. Dillian in that sequence gives him a left hook to the body, and AJ is literally about to hit the floor. You see him double over, and he's about to touch the canvas. He was hurt bad by that shot. And Dillian, to be fair, had no shoulder in that fight whatsoever. And that's the thing. And that's the thing about Dillian. Dillian had literally had no shoulder in that fight, and he took the fight. He had surgery straight after the fight. People in boxing knew that Dillian was fucked going into that fight. That was like not a secret. Like people knew Dillian went into the fight with a fucked shoulder.
Well, so, listen, Eddie Hearn, all these Matchroom fans are talking about step aside. Well, if AJ steps aside, he should fight Derek Chisora, right? They said Derek Chisora could be Wilder, so put him in there with AJ. Oh my God!
What? Why does he step aside and fight Wilder? That'd be a good fight, as I keep saying. Why don't you step aside and fight Wilder? Yeah, let me ask you guys this. One more time. Why doesn't AJ step aside and fight Wilder? Gonna Change says we open in the lines tonight, Ultra. What do you think, Shevin?
Yeah, why not? Open
the thing is, we're going to get dickhead. All right, let's do it. You guys want to open it? Listen. The lines are open. I'm going to tell you right now, yeah? Anybody who jumps on and says dumb shit's just going to get booted. I'm not interested in that stuff, man. Give your opinion. Anybody who says dumb shit's going to get blocked and booted. There you go. You want the lines? The lines are open.
I saw some guys on Twitter that was talking about that. Now I said, yeah, the Wilder fight is a great fight. He steps aside because either whether he fights Dillian Whyte very next or he can fight Wilder right after that. People are still legit saying, well, Wilder got knocked out twice. What? Why do you care? Like, it's a good fight. I mean, AJ might knock Wilder out the third time and finish him, but there's no one else. If Usyk and Fury fight each other, there's no other credible fight than Wilder. Coming off a loss.
Gonna change says, I'm at home in 15. I'll jump on then. I think 15 is going to be a bit too late, bro. We've already been on for an hour and 15, man. Let's have a look. Let's go through some more final predictions here. Kenny B says AJ should step aside 20 million to sit and have more time with new trainer. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much money he's going to get to step aside. For those of you who have missed it, I'll quickly check what's going on Michael Benson's page, yeah? Yeah, Joe, if you want to come on, Joe, jump on. The link's there. I think Joe wants to come on and chat. Please. Let me just put this on. Joe wants to come on. Joe, if you want to come on, there's the link. It's in the chat. What was I going to say? There are rumors going around that Anthony Joshua's asked for an extra 5 million to step up. I mean, it depends on what you believe. But apparently somebody's told TalkSport that AJ's holding out for more money and he wants an extra 5 million plus 1 million that will be going to charity. So somebody's saying AJ getting 20 million. I don't know how much he's going to get step aside, but the real money that AJ is going to earn is this. It's not really how much he's going to get for stepping aside, yeah? It's the fact that he gets to blow Dillian Whyte's brains out on pay-per-view in this country, right? And make 10 to 15 million doing that in a quick on and off fight. That's where AJ's really making us cash. Does that make sense? He's going to get some step aside money, fair enough, right? But the real money for AJ is going to be he gets to drag Dillian onto paper. They did it on pay-per-view for the British title. Can you imagine how much pay-per-view that will do in the UK now? Now that Dillian's a WBC mandatory, it will do big pay-per-view with Eddie Hearn pushing it. So that's the good thing for AJ. Yeah, I mean, drag Dillian into a pay-per-view and get him cleaned out.
It'll be Dillian Whyte on pay-per-view, and then if that Fury fight takes longer, which I suspect, it'll then be Parker 2, Goldberg, or Zhang.
Name is Zhang. Right, Joe, are you popping on or what? Let's wait for Joe. London Shaft says, nor Dillian nor AJ want any part of Wilder, in my opinion. When you know you can get put to sleep in a millisecond, it's too risky. Well, I don't know. I thought Wilder was a bum, so I was kind of hoping that AJ would pick Wilder. You know, Wilder would take that fight in a second. Wilder would take that fight in an absolute. Oh, Marco wants to. Yeah, let me just get some. Chef, hold on. If people want to come on, I will do it. But there's no point in saying people can say, "Oh, I'm coming on," and they don't pop on. So hold on. Just bear with me 3 seconds, right? Let's do this properly, right? I've got Marco's email. So Marco, you've been sent the link. So Marco will be coming on. So Marco's been sent the link. Joe, it's in the chat, or you can email me if you want to pop on. There we go. 157 in the chat. We're just going through a slight intermission. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Joe's turned up. So we've got Joe first, then Marco. Right, 3 people in the chat. Shevin, just mute yourself for a sec, but obviously you can unmute yourself when, yeah, cheers. Joe, we can hear you nicely and clearly. Joe, just give your opinion, and then I'm going to let Shevin fire some questions at you. Joe, just give your opinion on AJ versus Whyte and Dillian the guard dog. Joe, you there?
Yeah. No, I'm here. My connection's a bit shaky right now. But can you hear me right?
Yeah. Try and turn. I can actually hear you fine. I would say turn me down in the background if you can, because I can hear myself echoing in the background, and there might be a bit of a delay. So if you can, turn me down in the background if you can. But just bro, just shoot. Right, I'm gonna let you have the stage. 157 people here. Will AJ step aside? Is Dillian Whyte the guard dog? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Just let us know, bro.
Right, so I could go on for ages and agree with everyone about how AJ should step aside, except Shevin disagrees, but it seems like the vast majority of people should agree. But I think will he step aside? No. I think he's going to take the rematch, to be quite frank. I think, as you say with the gravy train, I think he's going to dive straight back into it, to be quite honest, because he's got too many people around him pushing that narrative that he just desperately should. Because if he shouldn't, he's a coward and this and that. It's just a fucking mess, to be honest. Like, he should be his own man. Like, I know he's a lot of pressure. It's tough for him to be his own man, but it's fucking embarrassing.
Do you think if in an ideal world, right? Forget the fans, yeah? Forget the fans. In an ideal world, if you were Anthony Joshua right now and there were no fans, would you step aside?
Yeah, I'd 100% step aside. If there's no fans around. Like, I do think a lot of it's riding on the fact that obviously assuming that he's going to get a new trainer and improve, the one variable we got to think about, because say for the sake of things, he picks up Robert Garcia, someone like that, and it makes fuck all difference. Like, just mentally, he's not ready for it. Then, to be fair, stepping aside and not catching up might be stupid. But I've got every hope that actually a new trainer could do a lot of justice for him and improve him. And I think if that's the case, that history shows us time and time again that if a fighter is, Ingram likes to call them damaged goods, and they do pick up a new trainer and they go for a rebuild, taking some time for a few tune-up fights and the like is always the correct way. Like, jumping straight back in there is just stupid. It makes no sense. Like, he's already, he can't post any trainers' advice, like too many cooks spoil the broth. He's going to still have all of that underlying stuff from Tommy Sims, from Rob Kraken in his head about the box. And then he's going to get Rob Garcia in there telling him all sorts of other stuff. And who's to say that he's going to 100% just fight exactly how Robert Garcia is, going to try and get into the box? I think there's like absolutely fucking no chance that's going to happen, to be quite honest. It just seems absolute lunacy to get straight back in there. But unless he's trying to cash out, because I'm not being funny, I know I always bring up his Snapchat and his Instagram. Deadass, I think he's got half foot out of the ring already, falling on 1 foot. Because the amount of shit that he posts that's so unrelated to boxing, like obviously you have your own interest in shit, but bro, this guy's got no interest in boxing 99% of the time until he gets inspired to go box again. Listen to his Nelson Mandela speeches and then jumps back in the ring. Like, it's just stupid.
All right, Joe, you've got a bad line, so I'm going to drop you, but you've done a great job there. Joe, let me ask you one last question before I let you go. Let me ask you one last question before I let you go. Very quickly. If you're Dillian Whyte, what are you thinking if you've been offered step-aside money?
I was thinking Birdie Num Num. Nah, I don't know what the fuck he's thinking. Can I just make a point here for Joe Wall, because he made this point earlier. He's fucking gold. He said, forget the camera man. Dillian Whyte's the tin can man. Have you ever seen the Wizard of Oz?
I'll get it up on the screen.
I only wish I had a brain. He's like,
I'll get it
if I only wish I had a brain. Like, fuck me, he makes so many shit business decisions. The only thing I love about him is the fact that he's so much more authentic than AJ. Like, by comparison, the fact that he's not claiming it's some business mastermind. He's not fucking Chevy Bezos. So it's all good. But I mean, like, it's just fucking stupid at the end of the day. Like, he needs better advice.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We've gone over it a lot of times.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks for having me on.
No, Joe, thank you. And please come back, yeah? The only reason I'm booting you off a little bit is because of the line, but please come back next time. Great points. Thank you very much, brother.
That's fun.
All right. Appreciate it, man. No worries. The main man, Joe. What a legend. You see there, in honor of Joe there, can you see? We've got Dillian Whyte. He's calling Dillian the Tin Can Man. Sherman.
Where's my oil?
Sherman, he called Dillian the Tin Can Man.
Shout out, Joe.
He called Dillian So Joe calls Dillian the Tin Can Man, and also says he's the worst businessman, one of the worst businessmen he's ever seen in boxing.
Listen,
Jesus Christ,
100%, man. I follow that AJ Snapchat, man. It's pretty. It's like following some teen artist, some teen singer or something, where he posts like he doesn't seem as interested in boxing at all, based on the way his Snapchat is run like some pop star.
Right.
Also, lastly, one quick point Joe made about Joe thinks it's silly for him to go directly into this rematch. One of the reasons I'm okay with him doing it directly is because Anthony Joshua fights once a year. Anthony Joshua is not 25 years old. He's going on 33 years old. So I'm not sure if he has time for a 2 or 3 year rebuild.
All right, fair enough. Okay, right. Let me bring in Marco quickly. Right, Marco's always on a good line, so I can bring in the man. Good evening, Marco. How are we doing?
All right, hi guys. Hi,
yeah,
Shevin. Hi, Ultra. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Absolutely crystal clear.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
All right, Marco. God. All right, we're gonna let you. We're gonna. Let me introduce you, and then I'm gonna let you have free roll, Marco. Marco, Florian. That Marco's gone and signed for Sky. All right, Marco, AJ. Right, tell us. Will he step aside? Should he? Is Dillian Whyte a guard dog? Let rip. I'm going to mute myself.
Yes. Yes to all of those questions. Yes, Dillian Whyte is most definitely a guard dog. Not a very good one, I might add. And AJ, he has to step aside. If he doesn't step aside, it's career suicide. He loses this. I think he loses to pretty much maybe five, 6 heavyweights, but he definitely loses to Usyk. very comprehensively this time again. The right thing to do would be hold out, hope Fury beats him, and I think he probably has more chance of beating Fury than he was Usyk, simply down to movement. I don't know what you guys think, though. I mean, I wasn't really listening, but I'm assuming similar stuff.
Well, I want to quickly before I bang on about the fight itself. I want to kind of hammer home, Marco, and get you to really nail down all this bullshit that we've been fed about Dillian Whyte for the last year to 2 months. 1,000 days is a mandatory. Hard luck, Dillian. The WBC is conspiring against him. Al Heyman's conspiring against him. Luis Ortiz is conspiring against him. We've been told, Marco, for the last 2 years that this is this big global worldwide conspiracy. For the last 2 fucking years, Marco, we've been told that men, in hooded suits have been meeting up, a la Eyes Wide Shut, in the middle of the night, sacrificing virgins, and discussing how to stop Dillian Whyte getting a WBC title shot.
Yeah.
If what Mike Coppinger's saying is true, Marco, less than 24, 48 hours away from a purse bid, Dillian's been offered money not to take the shot that they've been calling out for the last 2 years. Carry on.
Well, you go back as well. What year was it? Pulev and White were supposed to fight.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I can't remember. That was...
But,
I'll find it. I'll dig it out. Yeah.
The point being is that was a final eliminator. I mean, they were very keen on that fight happening. And then Pulev's promotion won the purse bid, and suddenly nobody spoke about Pulev again. So he's had fucking 4, 5, 6 chances now at this point. I mean, he could have fought Brazil.
You there, Marco?
Fought Ortiz. Sorry, go ahead. What year was it?
You're there. No, sorry, it's right. Speak. Carry on, Marco. Sorry, I just broke up. Carry on. Keep going.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, he could have fought Pulev for a final eliminator. He could have fought Ortiz. He could have fought Ortiz twice. He could have fought Brazil. I mean, he's had a lot of chances for title.
The Pulev fight was purse bid was June 8th of 2018.
That's
2018.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
And that was kind of in the middle of his kind of, pay-per-view stardom. I mean, he's not a pay-per-view star, White. I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I suppose he's been built up to guard AJ. And we're seeing that even now with Fury. I mean, we should get Undisputed next. That's the most logical thing to happen, in my opinion. But Matchroom, as you well know, Shevin, have held up Undisputed now for 5, 6 years. I blame Eddie Hearn solely responsible for Wilder AJ not happening, to be honest. I just thought, they had so many chances. Wilder's team offered them 50 million. That should have happened. We should have got Undisputed when Ruiz beat AJ. Wilder against Ruiz, PBC, and again a rematch clause got in the way of that. I'm like the rest of you. I'm just sick and tired of it now.
Let me just butt in, Marco, and say that's a very good point. And Marco as well. AJ should never even had a bloody rematch contract against Usyk in the fucking first place. Anyway, the whole fucking thing about it's exactly. He should never had a fucking rematch contract. Yeah, it should have been a one and done. He should have lost. He should have got beat. Right? It should have been a one and done. He got beat, and it should have been Fury versus Usyk. No fucking purse bids. No fucking talk about mandatories. None of that. We shouldn't even have been in this situation. The only way we're in this situation is because certain fighters keep getting fucking railroaded into rematches with Anthony Joshua. So when you fight these matching fighters, it's like it's now best out of 3. Do you remember when we used to play Street Fighter in the arcade back in the day? Do you remember when we used to queue up? Yeah. Do you remember when we used to queue up and play Mortal Kombat? And back in the day, we used to sit at the arcade and have to wait to put our 50 pence pieces in, and then it was best out of 3. That's what boxing's fucking turning into down a match. It's turning out to best out of 3 now, isn't it? Whether you're Povetkin, whether you're Usyk, whether you're Andy Ruiz. Anytime you beat a matching fighter, it's like you've got to beat him fucking 3 and 4 times, isn't it? 5 times, 2 times, 6 times. It's like you've got to beat him multiple times just to get away. Carry on.
AJ is Jax.
We don't even really know as well. I mean, if Povetkin was to beat White again, I think you're right. I think they would have had a third fight. I think they would have had a trilogy.
You would have put it past them, wouldn't you?
I'm telling you right now, it's not rematch room. It's rematch room. I'm telling you right now,
Jesus
these guys can just. It's like a merry-go-round. They can just keep going. I mean, look, there's so many fighters. I keep hearing and you've obviously made the joke for years about AJ's resume. You know, who's he really fucking beat? I mean,
Wait,
I'm
hold on.
sorry.
Let me jump in. I'll get his resume up in a second. But Marco, the resume is not the point. Let me ask you directly. If you've already asked the question, you think he needs to step aside. The reason why he can't step aside is because he's been feeding his own fans bullshit for the past fucking 5 years, isn't he, Marco? He's been sitting there looking at his box, stroking his big cock to this box rec resume of his, isn't it? He's been sitting down stroking one off to his box rec resume and talking about he's fought and top 10 opponents, which has nothing to. Do you know before Anthony Joshua came along, right? You know before Anthony Joshua came along in boxing, I never heard any bullshit, about who you fought in the top 10. Oh, but he fought this guy. He's fought this many top 10s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was all about
I
simple.
never heard that myself.
You never heard any of that bullshit before AJ turned up. Now all of a sudden,
as well, it's so mandatories as well are just so important when it comes to AJ. I mean, what about fighting the other champions? You know, they don't care about that. It's all about Takam and Pulev and fucking 55-year-old Povetkin and my God, I mean,
Takam.
it's fucking appalling, honestly.
I think Marco. He's cornered himself, Marco. I think deep down he'll want to step aside, but he'll be a little bit afraid because he knows he's going to get some serious heat for it.
Look, I think even if AJ was to step aside, he's not going to be fighting anyone, you know, who has much of a chance. He's going to be fighting a knockover. What really should happen is AJ should fight Wilder next. That's it. It's as good a time as ever. But we all know that's not happening. That is not happening.
You'd have to drag him. You'd have to literally drag him, kicking and screaming to the fucking ring.
You would.
You know, literally.
You
he ain't doing it. He ain't fighting Wilder. You'd have to drag his ass, kicking and fucking screaming to the ring.
Fucking nails dug into the ground. There's no chance. There's no. And you know what? That's the very sad thing as well.
He wouldn't even do it for 50. He wouldn't even do it for 50 million. Why would he do it now on the verge of a fight with Fury? Wilder's a bum. He'll never take it. Yeah, of course he will, because he'll knock White on his head in 6 rounds. Yeah. Do you honestly think these matchroom judges are going to give Dillian any fucking hope in this fight? If Dillian goes and fights Anthony Joshua, it's a payday, right? Mm-hmm. Short of landing a big left hook and cleaning AJ's clock, everything's against him. Everything's going to be against him. The promoter's not going to want him to win. The judges aren't going to want him to win. Everything's going to be against Dillian if he fights Anthony Joshua. Does anybody dispute that in the comment section?
Oh,
he's going upstream, isn't he? Carry on, Marco.
It'll be Billy Joe Santos at Canelo all over again.
Oh my God, Marco! Can you imagine that?
But you see, the thing is as well, if and I think you've alluded to this as well, if AJ does fight Usyk and it does go 12 rounds, I sense a robbery. I'll be honest with you. I can see them ripping Usyk off, even if it's 8-4 or something like that. I can just see them getting the nod. Eddie Hearn will come out with his usual, a couple of swing rounds here and there. Look, it's disaster zone if Fury Usyk doesn't happen next. It really is.
I'm gonna bring in Gunner Change, Marco. You're willing to stay? You could happy to stay if you want to. I'm gonna bring in Gunner Change. I will say this right now in closing: the game plan has always been AJ versus Fury, and they ain't gonna let anybody get in the way of that, and they certainly ain't gonna let no fucking Usyk get in the way of that. There's a 1 round difference from 8-4 to 7-5. There's just 1 round. A 1 round swing from an 8-4 to 7-5. 1 more round after that, and you've got a draw. I'm telling you right now, Usyk goes in to fight Anthony Joshua in the rematch. In England, he better knock AJ out, because if that fight is anywhere near close, he will not be getting a decision, and it will be Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury next if he comes through White. There's just too much money involved for them to give these guys a fair shake. Right, Marco, just give me a sec. I just want to bring in Gunner Change because I promised I was going to bring him in for about the last fucking hour and a half. Gunner Change, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you nice and fine. You sound just like Mickey Elliott. I swear to God, you sound exactly like my man Mickey Elliott, who will be coming back on the show hopefully sometime this year, itching to get back. Just Gunner Change. You know what we do on this show. You don't have to agree with me. Just give your opinion. Give your opinion. Let's start off with AJ. If you were him, would you step aside? Yeah. So if you were Anthony Joshua, would you step aside? And do you think he will step aside? So 2 different questions. Do you think he will step aside? And do you think he should step aside?
To answer those questions, yes, he should step aside. But if I were him, no. So I think from a business point of view, of course, you'd want to step aside. It's win-win for him. He doesn't care about legacy. Obviously, he'll pretend he does because that's how he's built his sort of fandom. But ultimately, he's just about the money, just like he always has been. Same with Eddie Hearn. Like Eddie Hearn's going to push for step aside. They're all sitting at home doing nothing. Big payday, and like you say, you get to fight White. And realistically, all being well, that's a knockover job, right? And then he gets to fight for all the belts. So, like for him, it's a no-brainer. And I think for Dillian Whyte, I know he's bored me so much over the last few years. I was a fan of his, not anymore, but I think the way that he's positioned himself to somehow be in this magical top 4 is laughable. Like I don't see how it's happened. How all of a sudden, like, no one talks about Wilder, no one's talking about any other heavyweights. It's just these 4, and the Usyk is absolutely no problem at all. He's literally stepped up. He's come in, had the fights, and he's happy to fight anyone. Fury, I used to be a huge fan of before, sort of, I guess the rebuild with Warren and Bob Arum.
Okay.
But since then, I just think he's not been himself. He's been very much. He's tried to play almost like the AJ card, right? He's been as sort of I don't know, like scripted as much as he can be, right?
Mickey Elliott 2.0. Let me ask you a quick question, Mickey. Because you do sound just like Mickey Elliott. Quick, I know you just stated. Can people hear me?
Yeah, so I muted you by mistake. I tried to mute myself. Okay. Carry on, Sherman.
Cool. Oh, my question for you quickly. I know you just stated the Dillian Whyte as a top 4 heavyweight in the world as kind of a myth. And I feel you on that because I've said that too. But I don't think the heavyweight division is that deep. I can see the argument for him being like, I guess, 4th, 5th, maybe behind the top 4 guys. With that said, how do you see a fight going right now between Joe Joyce and Dillian Whyte? And Dillian Whyte versus 156-year-old Luis Ortiz. I'll just listen.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually had this debate with you on Twitter. I'm Mr. Anderson on Twitter.
Oh yeah, my guy.
Yeah, so.
He is here. Finally, he arrives. Fucking hell. All right, here we go. Carry on.
Yeah, so I think. Look, I overlook Ortiz, like in a way. Like I think Dillian Whyte could pummel Ortiz because I'm not really thinking about what Ortiz gives offensively anymore. Because for me, he's not the danger man he used to be. He is old. And could he knock him out? Yeah, of course he can. I don't think Dillian Whyte's chin is particularly good. He gets floored in almost every fight. But I just think Dillian Whyte should be too much for Ortiz. With Joyce, on the other hand, I actually think it is a case of you'll see in the first few rounds, if Joyce is feeling Dillian Whyte's power or lack of whatever, I think Joyce will easily and comfortably walk away with the W in that fight, in my opinion. But it depends if Whyte can keep him off him with his power. But I don't believe in Whyte's power personally. His right hand is just not there, and I don't think Joyce is stupid enough to be hit with left hooks every time. For example, Joyce has only been asked in one fight to be tactical, and that was the Daniel Dubois fight, and he fought almost perfectly, really, kept out the way of the danger punches from Dubois. So I think Joyce is probably a lot smarter than we think, because he looks like shit, let's be honest, when he fights. And
he's got he's got one of the best looking girlfriends, though. I tell you, his girlfriend's absolutely very, very good looking. I'll tell you one thing. Let me ask you about Dillian. Do you agree with us that Dillian's a guard dog? And what do you think about Dillian Whyte tonight? Apparently, according to Mike Coppinger, he's been offered money to step aside.
Oh, it's a weird one, that. Yeah, he is a guard dog. Of course he is. Like, that's how Hearns actually used him. Like, it's not even a secret, is it? He's literally said it. You have to beat him to get the AJ fight with Wilder and what have you. So it's a fact. But that said, I think Whyte, again, I mean, yeah, of course he'll step aside for money, because all he's ever done is for money. Just like AJ and any matchroom fighter, just like Conor Benn, it's all about the money. Whatever risk, they don't want to take any risk. Yeah, they just want to keep the money coming in, and that's fine. But from boxing fans, it's annoying, you know.
What do you think will happen next, Mr. Anderson? Because we're going to wrap up soon. But just give us your
Yeah,
opinion. Friday. The purse bid is. Do you think there'll be a purse bid on Friday? Do you think AJ will step aside? What's your final scenario? What happens when this is all said and done? Tell us.
I think AJ steps aside because now in the media it's becoming like, you know, you got Coogan and all of them. They're basically like even on TalkSport, if you should step aside, you sit at home, earn 15 million. That is the sort of message that's going out now. So it's like basically reaffirming it's okay. So I think he will step aside if the money's there.
That is not an accident, by the way.
Of course
I
not.
don't believe that's an accident at all. I think that when you see the likes of Dave Caldwell, Matthew Macklin, Tony Sims all coming out and saying AJ to step aside, to me, I really believe that that's the reason. That there's something in that, and that you know. Carry on. Sorry to bite you guys. Carry on, Mr. Anderson. Carry on.
No, totally fine. I think. Yeah, we'll see. Probably the Dillian Whyte age. I'm not sure that gets actually made. I think AJ will just take a little soft touch opponent. I just have a feeling.
So who's Dillian going to fight then?
You know what? I think they're just going to wait and hold it out. I just don't know who they're going to fight. These three fighters, Dillian Whyte, Joshua, and Fury, they pissed me off so much. Like nothing is what it seems. Like there's always something. So I just can't see it because of probably like all the mishaps that have happened in the past. But I do see Fury losing to Usyk. Just because I don't think he's going to be motivated for that fight. There's not going to be any spite coming back. There's no danger in Usyk in terms of getting knocked out in theory. But if Fury, just like you've said, if he's coming in heavy, look, it's great coming in heavy against a Joshua, I think, and a Dillian Whyte. But against Usyk, I think he's going to cause him real problems. And I have a feeling he'll steal the rounds, like you've said.
Yeah, I really do. I think that's that. For me, I think that fight is absolutely... I think that fight is an accident waiting to happen. Fury and Usyk, I really do. I think with Fury's new start, I think, you know, I can't believe I'm saying this, and I hope I'm proved wrong. If it was the Fury who fought Wilder won under Ben Davison, I'd very much fancy Tyson Fury to win. But under Usyk, I don't think so. All right, Gunnar, give your final thoughts, and then I'm going to have to go back to Marco, and then we're going to wrap up. Give any final thoughts you want to give on boxing and whatnot. Anything you want to say? Say your piece.
Yeah, I've said it for years, and pretty much it came out the other day, right? I think English or UK-based trainers are poor. The way that boxing is taught in the UK is rubbish. I think
Pathetic.
I think actually Ben Davison gets so much stick, but he's not quite there in terms of any sort of Kronk style or any sort of Philly shell or anything like that. That is sort of that we know and love, but he is at least teaching quote unquote the sweet science, whereas the others are just like you say, market stallmen, and I think it's changing, but I think Ben Davison is too much with data and like basically sports science. I think there's an in-between where I think the coaches just lack here, and like even Audley Harrison the other night, he was talking about the history of boxing in America. He talked a lot of shit in that interview. I could only watch like 10 minutes. But I just feel America has the gyms, it has the people there, and it has the know-how to develop good fighters with the right mentality. Here, we haven't really got that. We don't have the gyms. We don't have people with the accolades. We may get that sort of 10 years down the line because of Furies and Joshua's and what have you now, but it's too much of a celeb sport here, and we're not creating good fighters. We don't create good coaches, and to be honest, I think it's been a myth a long time that English boxing is sort of on top. Really, we've never had a pound for pound king. It's all just been Eddie Hearn spouting his mouth on Sky, and people forgot about other fighters and other promoters. That's my final say, really.
Well, I think that's a very, very good final say. Okay, thank you very, very much for doing that. Thank you very, very much for coming on, and please come back. Talk a lot of common sense. Yeah, and do you know what? I've got a few guys in mind that I want to bring in for to do some technical talk. So, because I want to bring in Skills Pay the Bills and a few other guys. So there's a couple guys that I got in mind for when we start breaking down these big fights and talking. So we're going to do a round table and have a little chat about strengths and weaknesses. So I'm happy to bring you into that with Skills Pay the Bills and maybe a couple other people. All right. So stay in touch. All right.
Awesome. Cheers, man.
Okay, man. Speak soon. Okay.
Cheers, brother.
All right. Before Chev and I give you the last word, let's just quickly. 143 people still here. I don't know if this audio is still working. Can you guys hear this? Let me know. Let's quickly hear, because we can't go before we hear from Big Meech. Let's hear from Big Meech himself. Yeah.
You know what's bad about all these interviews I see? I see certain interviews that quote what I said. I think to myself, I ain't done no interviews. Where did this person get this information from? I'm hearing people saying AJ accepts 15 million to step aside. I ain't signed no contract. I ain't seen no contract. So as it stands, stop listening to the bullshit until it comes from me. I'm the man in control of my destiny. I'm the man that handles my business. I'm a smart individual and I make calculated decisions every step of the way. Don't listen to the bullshit from other sources. If I tell you something, you know it's real.
There you go, Chef. You heard it. Don't listen to the bullshit unless it comes
Big
from
Meech, Larry Hoover.
Big Meech, Larry Hoover. How's he going to lift this down? Listen, we said yesterday, on yesterday's show, right? We said, this is not saying I will not step aside. You know, this has been going on now for like 4 months. And Anthony Joshua has not said these words. I will not step aside. Those words will not come out his mouth. He says yesterday, I haven't seen a contract. I think you might have seen one tonight, Shevin. Final thoughts?
Yeah, listen, it goes back to what you said before. If I said to you right now, look, Ultra, what's going on? Are you going to move next month or you're not going to move? And you said, I'll have to wait and see on this and I'll wait and see on that. Well, that means you're considering moving and you're considering staying. Same thing with Anthony Joshua. He has had every opportunity to deny the idea of stepping aside, but he refuses to because he's strongly considering it. I think what happens in the next 36 hours, he confirms the fight with Alexander Usyk because that is a high risk. If he loses, it's probably finished at top level. But that risk is probably, and hit to him, is worth more than facing these monks who have pressured him into thinking he has to satisfy their expectations.
Final question, and then I'm off. If he turns it down, do you think it will affect his legacy? Do you think it'd be one of them moments where he'll look back and think, fuck, I really fucked up there? And tell you what, hold on, before you answer that as well, let me just say one thing as well, okay? Before I go, let me give my final thoughts, then I'll let you end it. Do you guys remember a year ago, 2 years ago, let's say 6 months ago, 12 months ago, and I said, do you know how you know Matchroom fucked this up? Tyson Fury was 400 pounds coming off failed drugs test, looking like he was never going to box again. Yeah? Am I lying, guys? Was Tyson Fury not 400 pounds hitting the pads in Marbella, looking like he was never going to box again after failing a drugs test? After having the BBC chasing him down for things that he said, which I think were very, very wrong, right? It looked like his career was finished. How did we ever get into a scenario where less than 5 years later, Anthony Joshua is potentially on the verge of taking money not to fight, and Tyson Fury is on the verge of fighting for undisputed? Do you guys understand what a massive and huge fuck up has taken place here? Do you guys not understand that? No disrespect, but do these other muppets who are making these videos not quite grasp what's going on? You had the most marketable, biggest star potentially in boxing. Can I just quickly say this, Shevin? Look at this man, right? I want to just make this point hit home, right? Look at this man's physique. Hold on, let me drag this up on the screen. 1 sec. Let me stop sharing. Here we go. Let me drag this on the screen so people can understand. Here we go. Let me get this up, right? Let me just put my thing. Right, let's nail this. Look at this physique of this man. This man should be far and away the biggest star in boxing, yeah? From 2015, what was it? From 2015, 2016 onwards, his biggest rival was out of heavyweight boxing. This man's biggest rival was out of heavyweight boxing, weighing 400 pounds. He should already be the undisputed champion. He should already be the undisputed champion. 5 years later, they let this man, they let a 400-pound fat man from the seaside. How do you do that? They let a 400-pound fat man from the seaside come back from a failed drugs test and suicidal thoughts. And now, we're 36 hours away from AJ, this man potentially taking money not to fight so that this fat man from the seaside can box for an undisputed title. Once you understand that, then you understand how big the fuck up has been with this man's career. This man's made a lot of money in his career, but this man's career has been absolutely and royally fucked up. Sorry, Shevin, finish the show for us.
Just to take on that, the point that you just made, like you said, 5 years ago, go back 5 years ago after Fury had beat Klitschko, the biggest names and the biggest fights in heavyweight division were Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and even Luis Ortiz back then in terms of the best fighters. Ortiz, Wilder, and Tyson Fury have now had 5 fights between them, okay, since that time. Anthony Joshua has had 0 fights with one of them, and he's been a champion for nearly 5 years. He's going on 33 years old. It's now or never for him. So I don't know what he's going to do, but he has to do whatever he has to do to get a big fight with Wilder, with Fury. Between the next year, he has to get in the ring with one of those 2 guys, or he goes from a guy who should have been Idris Elba to a guy who's going to end up like Leona Lewis.
Thank you, guys, and good night.